everybody, welcome to another video. Before we get cracking on this, I thought I might have a little bit of a chat with you about what's coming up over the next few weeks and months. First of all, there might be a little bit of a drop in the number of videos I'm posting over the next few weeks. That is because we're really busy at work. We're a couple of staff members down, so things are a bit crazy out there. And also we're getting the decorators in soon because we're having some decorating done down the lounge. So lots of life things getting in the way, but I will try and keep posting a Saturday video. Don't think there'll be a problem with that one. And in today's video, we're going to be concentrating on these guys. Now, if you were a fan of, or not so much a fan, maybe you just might have caught a couple of episodes of my first series, Newquest Chronicles, you'll recognise these guys as the residents of the House of Doom. Now, why is it called the House of Doom? Well, I'll be honest with you, I created these guys as like a test before I started filming Newquest. And the idea was their house was going to be a haunted house, hence the House of Doom. So I gave the house the haunted trait, and I did a few hours of sort of test play, and nothing really happened. Okay, we got lots of ghosts in, but they were friendly, and the worst thing they did is break the toilet. So I thought, well, that is not going to work. So I got rid of the haunted trait, and the name kind of just stuck. And I have to say, these are my favourite characters. I think it's because they were the original test characters. I've got a real sort of a bond with them, if you like. So I thought they deserve a complete custom content makeover. I did try it during the filming of Newquest, and I think about a third of the way through, if you watched it, you'll notice that everybody changed appearance for a few weeks. And then I must have downloaded something dodgy and the whole thing crashed, so I had to get rid of all my custom content. But recently it sort of snuck back in again. So these are going to get a good old CC makeover. And also, I'd just like to say a big thank you very, very much, because on Friday morning I woke up and we've hit 180 subscribers, which is ridiculous. I have to say it's ridiculous. Very grateful though, I have to say thank you. I quite pride myself in the fact that I've never sort of asked for subscribers. I've always gone on the pretense of, look, this is my channel, this is my content, if you like it, subscribe. If you don't, then that's fine. But 180, yep, that's something. I'm really, really pleased, so thank you very much. So now that's out of the way, let's get cracking with the video. Right, let's get the introductions out of the way. So we've got Stephen Dale, Tessa Garrison, Cheryl Levine, Nadine Knott, and finally Will Slater. Now, these are the guys of the House of Doom, and what we're going to do today is we're going to give them the look that they really deserve. When I created these, because there's been various sort of incarnations of these guys as they've got older, but what I'm working on here is the original 5 characters, when there was absolutely no custom content on my computer. So they were just created with the content that we get from Sims, and this is why I'm going to give them a complete overhaul, because I think they are going to look completely different once we've CC'd them. Now, a little bit about Stephen's background is I wanted him to be a bit of a fun-loving, bouncy chap, a little bit naive, and that's exactly how he came out. Everything about his character sort of clicked into place. You know, he walked with a bounce. He was a really happy, cheerful chap. And that's why I think he's out of all of them, he's my favourite, because the Stephen that I had in my own mind is exactly how it turned out. Now, he ended up marrying Will in a bit of a a traumatic wedding in the last episode of Newquest Chronicles, and I won't give any of the game away. If you want to go back and watch it, it's still there on my channel, so if you fancy seeing what went on, you can have a look at least episode 20. But they didn't move out of the house with Jim once they got married. They stayed in the house because that's where they felt the most comfortable, and they had a nice big room upstairs as well. It was like a bedroom come lounge area, so if they wanted to get away from everybody else, then they would just pop over and spend a bit of time in their room. But what I'll do is, don't worry if I'm sort of whizzing through this. At the end of the video, we'll slow everything right down, and we'll have a look at what they looked like originally, and then they'll sort of merge into their custom content versions. But I like the look of Stephen. This is how I sort of imagined him to look like. He's a bit sporty. He does like wear a lot of leisure wear. So that is Stephen done. Now next we'll do Tessa. Now Tessa's backstory, when we come to her, there she is. There's Tessa. I don't know. I often really thought of her as being a bit of a model. That was my intention anyway. I gave her the sort of the posh walk, if you like, and it never really materialised because as we went through the series, I never sort of write a script or anything. I just play the game and see what happens, and sort of let them take their own stories. Tessa is the only character that never got married. She became a kind of a mother figure, really, to everybody else in the town. She tried internet dating, which she apparently, from what I can sort of pick up, really got a lot out of, and she tried to introduce the speed dating, internet dating thing over to Linda, who was another character in Newquest Chronicles, and it sort of backfired drastically for her. So, but that was a fun episode to film, I must admit. But I want to give Tessa, in her CC form, the model looks that she kind of deserves. I always found it very, very difficult to find black hair without going down the sort of Afro stereotypical route. But I think this hair, as soon as I saw it, but before I downloaded it, I thought, yeah, that is exactly what I want for Tessa. And I think she would have sort of really gone for something like this. But yeah, she was a bit of a sort of a background character. I never, for some reason, never really gave her a major storyline throughout the whole of the series, and I kind of regret it, which is really why I want to revisit Newquest sometime next year and give those characters that I never really gave a storyline something to do, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why Tessa never married, which is kind of regretful really now. But never mind, there's time to change all that, I dare say. But I think she's sporting the double denim look here, which I think looks quite good. But this is how I envisage her to be anyway. A bit of a model-like character rather than a mother-like character. Now, on to Cheryl. Cheryl was Dipsy. I don't want to put people in a box, but if you consider the blonde bimbo type person, and I don't mean that in an offence to anybody, this is how she was. She was very naive, very I don't think she was particularly sensible to start off with. She did start seeing Glenn, who lived next door, and when he proposed to her, she refused. And it turns out that the reasons that she refused, that she just found out that she was pregnant and she didn't know what to do. So anyway, it all ended well. They did get back together and they did eventually get married after the babies were born, because she ended up having twin girls, and their storyline worked out really quite nice. But as soon as I saw this hair, by the way, this is exactly what I thought Cheryl would have, because she always used to wear it in a ponytail, and I think it looks really nice. Very much a family girl now. I think her character has developed wonderfully, and her two children were the first two to sort of age up into teenagers before we ended the series. So there's scope to move that on as well. I'm not quite sure where, but I know that I would like to look at those, because they ended up aging up just before I ended the series, so I haven't really had a chance to look into their characters very much. But we can do that. That's not a problem. Right, one of my favourite female characters is Nadine. Now, when I started with the test series episode playthrough sort of thing, Nadine was actually what was she? She wasn't a teenager, she was one below, toddler, kid. And the mystery about her is that nobody knew who her parents were. Was it somebody in the house, or did she just sort of wander in from the street? But then when I started Newquest, I sort of aged her up so they were all the same age, but they're in the house. Now, I had a lot of trouble with trying to find the right skin detail for Nadine, because a lot of that I was trying was changing the shape of her mouth too much, and I wasn't too happy with changing her features completely, so it took me a long time to find the right one. In fact, I must have spent about 10-15 minutes trying to find the right one on this one. But we did eventually find the right one, and I think she turned out okay. Her character in Newquest was a very, very strong character, and she had to be, really, because she ended up getting married. And then in the delivery room, when she had their son, her husband started flirting with the midwife. So that sort of set the standard for how their marriage was going to end up. Anyway, things got from bad to worse, and he used to go out and flirt with all these women, and in the end she threw him out and divorced him and moved back into the House of Doom. And there's a big storyline about her ex-husband and how he ended up, but I'm not going to give anything away in case you want to go and watch it again. But yeah, Nadine, she ended up having a son. He's now living in the House of Doom with everybody else. Obviously Cheryl moved out when she had her babies. So yeah, there's been a complete change in the residents there. But like I said, I went back to using the original versions of these guys to change their appearance. But yeah, Nadine, a pretty strong character overall. Looking forward to see how she develops. And finally, on to Will. Right, Will. What can we say about Will? A kind of a male version of Cheryl, I think. A little bit naive. Very much into fitness. Now, I didn't intend on making him so sort of hooked on fit, but in the back garden I installed some gym equipment, and he, out of all of them, was the one that used to use it the most, and by the end of the series he was just like this big chunk of muscle, which was quite funny. But yeah, I wasn't overly happy with how his character turned out after I made him. It just didn't sit well with me. I didn't like his facial features, but by this time the series had already started and it was too late to change them. But thanks to this wonderful custom content, we've managed to crack it, and I think I've done a pretty good job with Will here, and he kind of looks like I wanted him to look. Right, what we're going to do now is we'll have a look at all the characters in their old form and in their new form.